Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my overview, my detailed look and overview of the Wade Shadow 5 V2, right? So this is the second version of the Wade Shadow 5, which was a pretty good performer. It is outdoor specific and it retails for 120 bucks. So if you do want to cop, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. And it is the same exact price. The V2 is they didn't really raise the price at all, which of course is a good thing. However, the regular Shadow 5, some of the colorways are on sale for 100 bucks. So I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box for both of these shoes. And if you do choose to get either of these shoes, it does help me out if you buy it from the actual link in the description box. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support. But yeah, it is summer and the V2 is made for summer, which of course is a good thing. I mean, it's freaking hot. I'm in a tank top. I'm in Cali. It's been really hot all day. So yeah, and the lights right now are shining. It's just really hot. So I do appreciate a good summer shoe. You know what I mean? So of course for summer, you want something a little bit lighter weight and also a little bit, or actually way better for ventilation, which this shoe has. And also it's a low top. It's a low cut shoe versus the regular Shadow 5, which is pretty much like a high top slash mid top construction, which of course will be better for ventilation as well. It's not gonna be as hot over your ankle, you know. But anyways, let's start off with the traction, and the traction is pretty much the exact same as the regular Shadow 5. So if you're playing on a clean court, it does have a pretty good bite, but it does pick up a good amount of dust, which I don't like. You know, it's a pretty easy wipe, but it picks up dust pretty fast. I did play in both of these shoes already. I mean, obviously I did play in this one. I did a full performance review, but for the V2, I only played it a couple times, and it literally is the exact same as the regular Shadow 5, right? Also, they are saying it's tough rubber, and it is, of course, like I said, made for outdoor use, so it should be good for outdoor courts. The durability does seem pretty dang good. So there is the traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, also does feel pretty dang smooth. Here in the heel, we got a nice rounded shape, and also this weird thing going on, right? We have the foam kind of exposed and protruding out a little bit, and then the rubber comes up a lot, and then it connects to this plastic piece, which connects to the pull tab here. And there's a little bit of a gap here, which is weird. And also a little bit of a gap here in the midfoot area as well. It's cored out for the midsole here in the midfoot, which of course is supposed to shed off a little bit of the weight, which of course is very similar to the Jordan Eclipse plate. You guys remember that? But anyways, there's a good amount of compression here in the heel, which feels nice. And then here in the forefoot, we got a nice rocker shape as well. So from the shape, we got a nice heel to toe transition, and it is pretty easy to flex here in the forefoot as well. And same thing with the regular Shadow 5. It's pretty much the exact same thing, right? So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. They're using, it says Li-Ning Cloud Plus right here on the medial side, right? So they are using Cloud Plus foam. Also, they are using full length boom, but it's only an insole, right? So the insole is pretty nice. I mean, you're not gonna get that much from the insole. There's a little bit of, you know, step-in comfort, but it's relatively thin, so that doesn't improve the step-in comfort that much. But I love the texture on it. The texture on it has this really nice fine type of like texture to it, and it really grabs your sock. It's really annoying to put the shoe on, however. It like grabs your sock and kind of scrunches up on the bottom of your foot, but once you have it on, it really improves the lockdown inside of the shoe, right? And then underneath that, we have a very soft mesh strobo board, right? But I feel like, you know, with this boom insole, it is a little bit thicker than normal, or maybe it's just like a little stiffer. I don't know what it is, but I can't feel the Li-Ning Cloud Plus foam underneath my foot as much, you know what I mean? Like for example, in the Wade Flash, right? It's pretty much the same exact type of like soft mesh strobo board, but I can feel the foam right underneath my foot a lot easier than the Shadow 5, and that probably has to do with the insole. But anyways, it's still there. Under the cushion, still pretty dang nice. And then also with the actual midsole, we have a good amount of compression, especially here in the heel. The court feel definitely isn't the best, however, you know, which of course is not a bad thing if you're playing on an outdoor court, right? Outdoor courts, it's pretty much concrete. There's no bend in the actual floor comparing to wood floors, which actually do have a lot of bend. So you want a lot more impact protection, which this shoe does provide, you know, but you are sacrificing court feel for that. So, you know, not my favorite because I am mostly playing, or actually exclusively playing on a wooden court, you know, and I like to have a little bit more court feel, so that kind of sucks. But overall, this cushioning setup is pretty dang nice. Nice compression here in the heel. Underfoot cushion is pretty dang nice as well. And also, if you look at the midfoot, we have 2 straps, which is supposed to be good for lockdown, right? So that connects to these straps that go all the way up here into the eyelet, and then the laces go through that. So it kind of like, it's like a little loop that goes around your midfoot area, which is pretty interesting, you know, which we'll get into in lockdown. But there is the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So yeah, we have this very nice kind of like mesh material, you know, and it really reminds me of Leno Weave, you know, and there's a lot of like ventilation holes through it, and there's a lot of airflow, right? Just so much, it just like literally air just goes through it, you know what I mean? And also we do have a nice synthetic material here, kind of like in the toe box, and then on the medial side. So like, of course, that would be really good for toe drags. But yeah, it's an extremely thin material, but also does feel pretty dang supportive. There's also a little bit of fuse right here, so that kind of stiffens up the material a little bit for better support. And then here in the midfoot area, it actually stays not thin, or it is thin, but it's like a little bit stiffer, which of course is a good thing for kind of like a little bit more support. And then for the tongue, we have pretty minimal padding. It's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit, but not super well padded. But underneath that, right, we have a good amount of ventilation as well through the tongue. And then here in the ankle area, we have pretty much no padding on the sides, but we do have this kind of like heel tab thing, which does have a good amount of padding, which feels nice, you know. Comparing it to the regular Shadow 5, which was this textile material, which has pretty much no ventilation holes, not as much airflow. You know, it is relatively thin, however, but it's definitely not as cool as the V2, right? Of course, one thing I am a little bit worried about is the durability right here. You know what I mean? Like if you play in it a lot, maybe it'll develop a hole or a little bit, you know. So just be careful with that. But you do have like thicker materials in like the high wear areas, you know. So anyways, there's that. Moving on to the fit. So I went up half a size, and this shoe is freaking snug. So if you go true to size, be careful because it'll be extremely snug. I went up half a size, and this shoe fits me extremely snug, right? So here in the toe box, really tight. Also width wise, it's really narrow here in the toe box, right? I can definitely feel this plastic piece, right? This plastic piece comes all the way from the heel, comes into the midfoot, and also it stretches into the forefoot as well. And not only is it narrow here in the forefoot, but also like in the midfoot as well. I can definitely feel this plastic piece squeezing the side of my foot here in the midfoot too, which is a weird feeling. I definitely didn't feel it as much here in the regular Shadow 5. Probably because this is just a synthetic material. I mean, this plastic piece is still there, but over that, above that, it's a little bit more of a synthetic material. But for this, it's all just plastic, and it's a thicker plastic as well. So yeah, I would suggest most people go up half a size, right? It definitely, there's a little bit of length, but yeah, I mean, if you don't want your foot to be kind of like squeezed, like really tight, then probably go up half a size. You know, if you have a very narrow foot, maybe go true to size, but just be careful with that, right? And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. I feel like this shoe will be pretty dang light. 11.95 ounces, not super light. Let's check the other shoe. 11.8 ounces. Let's check the regular Shadow 5. This is gonna be a little bit heavier probably. At 12.55 ounces, just a tiny bit heavier. It doesn't really save that much weight, but you can definitely feel, it definitely feels a little bit more minimal, right? It is a low top. The upper definitely does feel a little bit softer as well. Comparing it to this textile, which feels a little bit more glued down, you know what I mean? A little bit stiffer. And also as far as support and lockdown goes, it feels pretty good. But I mean, okay, so for lateral containment, I didn't really have any issues, right? Overall, the material does feel a little bit stiffer, so that feels good. And then we have this plastic piece acting as a sidewall here in the forefoot, midfoot, and heel. And there also seems to be an internal TPU heel counter, right? So lateral containment, you're gonna be good to go. Lateral stability also is very good. We have a very wide base here in the forefoot as well. But the heel lockdown just didn't seem amazing when I was playing this, you know what I mean? It wasn't that like my heel was slipping out, but for some reason it just didn't feel super locked down to me. I don't know why, it's just weird, you know? So just be careful with that. It wasn't terrible or anything, but it just didn't feel super locked down for me in the heel. But of course, with that texture on the insole, that definitely does help with like locking your foot down a little bit more, right? So there's that. Moving on to the aesthetics, I like it. You know, I especially like this kind of like water droplet thing that they got going on with this plastic. It looks like water droplets, you know? And obviously it's supposed to be for a cooler shoe overall. Oh, by the way, the upper is called Cool Shell. So yeah, that's what they're calling it. But yeah, I do like the overall silhouette. I definitely do feel like it looks a little bit better than the regular Shadow 5. I don't know, I feel like I just like low tops better as far as aesthetically and also performance wise, right? So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, I definitely feel like this is an upgrade. You know what I mean? I do like the more ventilation. I do like the lighter shoe as well. The cushion is pretty much the exact same, and the low top nature of this shoe definitely feels a little bit better as well. So yeah, if you're gonna be playing on an outdoor court and also you want a very well ventilated shoe with good impact protection and good cushion, also good durability for the outsole, this is a great option, and it's only 120 bucks, you know what I mean? So this is one of the better shoes out there for outdoor use, and there are 4 colorways available of the V2, and this is the Aurora colorway, inspired by, of course, the Aurora Borealis. And here for the heel tab, it has kind of like this really cool like green sheen to it. So that about wraps up this video. Again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I'll try to leave in the free link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.